My name is Bokshin Lee Gebhard, and I am 89 years old. I was born in Korea, northern part of Korea, Tokchon, Korea. I was 1.5 years old when my parents moved to Pyeongyang from Tokchon. That was the time when Japan occupied Korea. As Japan took so much of their farmlands, my parents were no exception. Since I had a grandmother, so they couldn't go too far. And then just both of them in middle of the night went to as far as Pyeongyang, which was about an hour and a half away. That was the beginning of my life when I was 1.5 years old. Until Korean War, 1950, December 3, I lived that same area, grew up, except we moved about 3 times or 4 times, same area, not too far. It's one of the most beautiful places, as you all may know in history book. That's place what they call Nangnangni. There were at least 4 or 5 huge tombs, ancient tombs. That's 2,000-3,000 years old. These were my playground. I lived until 1950. Great change took place. This very place that my parents settled. The Japanese started removing the tombs. They hired forced Koreans to dig, and they moved near the river for the ship taking to Japan. And out of that, they were getting many artifacts from the tomb. One by one, the tomb will disappear. Most scenic area in Pyeongyang was they demolished. I saw with my own young eyes, saw those, not understanding what is going on. So this was a good portion of my age between 3 and 5. When I was 4th grade in Japanese school, I knew Japan is not my country. Every morning in the field, 운동장, we all go out, this huge school. We have to do 3 times Tennoheika Banzai, long live Emperor Japan. I didn't raise my hand. The emperor is not my king. It's not Korean, it's Japanese, so I wouldn't do it. So the Matsui sensei, my 4th grade teacher, Japanese teacher, saw there, and I don't want she to see me, so a little bit hiding, but she noticed I don't raise my hand, so she'll come walk to me, put my 2 arms and raise up. As soon as she leave, I'll put halfway down. Then she'll come and she will squeeze. She will pinch it so hard, my shoulder here. I did every time. Finally, I think she just gave up. So perhaps you might say I'm one of the youngest anti-Japanese activists, maybe.
Yeah. You're a rebel from early age.
Yeah, and I didn't know. Even he was squeezing, I didn't understand the whole thing. I still would not raise my hands up. When Korean War broke out, actually, I was in Sariwon, about 75 miles from Pyeongyang to south. As I finished the 2nd year at the Sariwon Middle School, I was waiting for the graduation for my mother from Pyeongyang. After graduation, I was still waiting for my mother at the boarding house. Suddenly, almost impossible loud noise and sprinkle of machine gun sprayed where I was staying. Instinctively, I fell on the floor of the room I was in, and I saw 4 or 5 long machine gun bullets were spread out. And I was told Sariwon station was bombed just now. We don't know who bombed it, but all they said it was bombed. And everyone was going out and each other what happened. So I bundled what I can and joined for the crowds who was so many crowds going toward Pyeongyang on a highway, some from Pyeongyang going south. You see those crowds going this way, and I followed toward Pyeongyang, the highway. 1950 July, let's see, that was June. End of June, I arrived home. The war broke out. Later, the UN and South Koreans came in. We were home, and then South Korean people, about 4, couldn't find a house where they could stay and have some food. The only house was our house. So they spent night at our house. Pyeongyang was pretty empty, the last part of the withdrawal. And then the next morning, one of the men from Seoul came to looking for his family, saw me, and asked my mother if she allows him to take me with him to Seoul, he will educate me and bring me back. Otherwise, Pyongyang be so much bombed, it's going to be very difficult to survive there. But my mother couldn't leave because my brother and sister were in temple. And also she said that I will die in my own house, but you go and survive. So that was last time I saw my mother. And I was separated, and I came with the people from South Korea. I was with this man who brought me. He was operating large hotel near Gwanghamon. And he had a mistress, as he left his wife and daughter-in-law. So he brought mistress. So she was there. And very first thing was introduce me to her in a hotel. And the first day, she gave me some food to eat. But she wouldn't give me any more food after that. And after a month later, I thought about, now what? I decided to take examination in Army nursing school that was in newspaper. So I went to Busan and took examination, and I entered Army nursing school, stayed there 2 years as a nurse. They were isolating me because I'm from North Korea, waking me up like in 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock in night, and then taking me to basement and interrogating me and telling me that I was sent South Korea by North Korean communists. So they asked me to confess, and if I confess, they will save my life, but if I don't, they will shoot me and bury me in the Busan mountain. So after 2 years without sleep, I don't want to live lying just to save my life. So I decided, go ahead, be honest, and let them shoot me. So I told them, go ahead, but I am not a communist who sent to South Korea. They didn't shoot me. So that's where I am now, yeah. 1953, I entered Busan University. I left the army. I had 3-4 jobs to put myself to school at Busan University. And so I was a private tutor. I was a morning 8 o'clock broadcast news announcer. I was a choir organizer at U.S. Army and interpreter. All this, I have to do it running around to get my tuition. My English was very poor, but I do not know why they asked me to interpret often. When they find out I was alone and from North Korea, they got fascinated. And they asked me if I would give a little speech how I came to South Korea in one of their evening programs. So I said, okay. So when I went there was missionaries, some US soldiers, some different people were there. So I wrote my speech in broken English, and I read my speech. And little did I know, somebody was tape recording like you guys do. And it went to newspaper in Texas, in United States, and different papers. They just got fascinated about my story. And next thing was I was getting a letter from United States, and a small town minister from Texas contacted the missionaries in South Korea in Busan, and they were insisting that I should go to United States. I said, no, I'm not ready. I want to finish my school, and I was doing well. I was happy, and I don't want to go. But they almost talked like I promised. That publication of the letter itself, like looking for someone to help me to come USA, which it was not. And they even bought plane tickets, everything without my really full approval. So I have to leave everything what I was doing. Again, it was not my intention. I came to United States. Totally different people. I was like a monkey. They were curious. Everywhere they invite me to come give a speech, to sing. I was sort of entertainment. A year later, the minister who brought me collected so much money from everywhere using my picture and my story, but he would not pay my tuition. So the school would not allow me to take an exam. Said your tuition is not paid. So I went back again, abandoned totally alone. I was having different jobs, try to get the tuition made. So the life for that time was worse than I actually had in Busan. I starved more in United States than in South Korea. I never quit about thinking, reuniting with my family. When I came to United States, very first thing is I wrote a letter to the Red Cross in Washington, asking them to find whereabouts my family. And I got a letter that I'm not American citizen. I was a foreign student. They couldn't help me, they told me. And I wrote a letter to North Korean embassy in Moscow. I also wrote to North Korean embassy in China, Poland, different countries, Germany. And none of the letters came. This continued on. I wrote to the embassy of Chinese embassy here, first one, 1970, when they opened delegate in UN. And then North Korea open delegate. I wrote North Korean UN office and China both. I called them, I drove them crazy, called them. I asked them to find about my family and I wrote them letters. And when they did not answer, the North Korean delegate didn't know what to do with me. I wrote 10-page letter, was mostly it's an angry letter. And then I decided to quit. Then one day, in my mailbox, I opened it was from Pyeongyang, and it was an invitation to come, 1987. And when I saw it was a Pyeongyang stamp on it, I almost fainted. When I opened it, was said invitation. Your mother passed away, but your sister alive, and we invite you anytime at your convenience. Come to visit. Your visa will be waiting in a Beijing office. So with that letter, I went. I was one of the earliest one. So I went 1988 May, went to North Korea, and they brought my family. They didn't recognize me, and I didn't recognize them because we grew up. So we were standing, staring at each other, waiting, where's my family? And they were waiting, where's my sister, Bokshin? So we were standing. Finally, the guides in the hotel came out because we were standing, don't say, just looking around and said, these are your sisters and brothers, and this is your sister. They pointed out. My sister, the oldest sister who didn't recognize me either, said, I think you're fake. You are up to something. You're not my sister. My sister is dead during the war, and you're not my sister. And she, the oldest one, said, my sister has a birthmark on her right hand, right feet. And when she said that, yes, I do have a birthmark, and I do have birthmark here, and I was showing, I took my, look, my birthmark. As she realized it had to be her, she broke down and cried. That was how we reunited.
Have you seen her since?
Many times. 1988, I went almost every year. I went back to see all of them, 15 times. And I was not only going, but I was all decided to aid the medicines and equipments and containers I sent. It's not just my family. I realized they needed help. So I organized a healing foundation, and Project Hope and I together, we sent containers of the medicine and food to North Korea. Then I continued to help following next 20, 30 years, all kind of aids, including medical equipments, vitamins, whatever I can, I did. I did my best. And I would say if I were to give advice, do best you can, and be yourself, and do help others when you have a spare. And next is work for the peace, not for war. My name is Lee Gebhard. This is my Korean-American story.